Cheesy does it when you're looking for a fast and low-cost meal to serve after all the turkey leftovers are gone. Serena Altschul has the inside scoop.
Macaroni and cheese, won't you give me some, please?
It's a family favorite. Creamy, quick, delicious, and oh so cheesy. Whose mouth doesn't water over macaroni and cheese? It's the symbol of comfort food.
I would have to say that it is one of the great comforting foods of all time.
Cheese expert Clark Wolf is an authority on this all-American classic.
It's one of those experiences at the table that actually is as good as an adult as it was as a kid. I mean, you remember being happy, you remember being with mom and dad, you remember it being crusty at the top and bubbling and waiting for it to come out of the oven, and you remember all those things.
Although it's as American as, well, apple pie, the inspiration likely came from the British in the 1700s, who mixed cheese with cauliflower. Mac and cheese's big moment, though, came in 1802 when President Thomas Jefferson served it at a state dinner at the White House. Since that day, the simple combination of macaroni, cheese, and butter has been an American staple, especially during tough times.
You know, we have re-entered the macaroni and cheese economy.
And we're gonna stir in our cheese sauce mix.
Kraft macaroni and cheese, with its unique day-glow orange powdered cheese, became America's best-selling brand during the Great Depression.
In 1937, when Kraft macaroni and cheese was first created, it was actually one of our sales reps who put together a grated cheese along with the macaroni.
Eileen Sharkey Rosenfeld is with Kraft Foods.
The idea of having both things together in one package was just revolutionary.
While Kraft's familiar blue-boxed stuff has fed generations of families, the cheesy concoction is now one of the hottest trends in food, from cookbooks to sleek restaurants.
The total is $21.75.
Mac Bar in New York City serves nothing but mac and cheese with 12 different flavor combinations.
I'll have a margarita.
Chef Mike Ferraro puts a new spin on the old favorite.
Mac and cheese is kind of like a blank canvas. A little bit of salt, a little truffle oil. We can just get creative and taste. A little bit of Tabasco sauce. Fresh scallion, that's the best part of tasting all day. We top it with a lot of Fontina cheese.
More cheese.
More cheese.
So low-cal? No.
No.
A little slice of heaven?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Owner Mark Amadei designed the Very Yellow restaurant as a tribute to the food he loved as a kid.
Everything about this concept, from the logo to the design of the space to all the packaging to t-shirts, is meant to exalt macaroni. It's been very successful.
So successful, mac and cheese has even made its way to fine dining. We tagged along with Clark Wolf to visit New York's ultra-exclusive Waverly Inn.
Now, this is quite simple and delicious.
Where his friend, Chef John DeLucy, makes perhaps the most opulent mac and cheese you could imagine, topped with white truffles worth its weight in gold.
Treasure, how much was this, Chef?
Right now we paid, today we paid $1,900 a pound.
And how much is this?
This is probably, well, that's $400.
The dish isn't really on the menu, but word has spread. How much is the mac?
Today will be around $95.
$95. And still, about a third of the restaurant's customers order the white truffle special.
Macaroni and cheese.
It seems even at that price, mac and cheese is as comforting as ever.
For dinner is macaroni and cheese.
What is not to like here?
Absolutely.
Executive Chef Gerard Tice at Boston's Omni Parker House Hotel makes life in the kitchen look easy as pie, specifically Boston cream pie. Essentially, we're talking butter, chocolate, cream, sugar. What could possibly go wrong with that?
Nothing. It's a wonderful dessert.
Wonderful, yes.
Isn't it good?
And completely misnamed. It isn't a pie at all.
No, it's a cake.
So where did that come from?
Because it was originally baked in pie shells.
2 pie shells, actually, for 2 yellow sponge cakes, held together with thick pastry cream, covered in chocolate, and coated with almonds.
We actually became the state dessert in 1996.
There we are, folks.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes, absolutely.
Who knew? You heard right. Boston cream pie is the official state dessert of Massachusetts. Boston seems to have an ability to claim things that people like. Boston baked beans, Boston terriers, Boston cream pie. What is it about this particular dessert that you think appeals to people around here?
It's simple flavors that just bring you back to your childhood, really.
It's been made more or less the same way since it was invented well over a century ago at this very hotel, whose kitchen, the chef notes, has had some famous and unlikely employees.
Malcolm X was a busboy here.
This is hard to believe.
Ho Chi Minh worked in the bake shop.
So Ho Chi Minh conceivably could have baked
Yes.
a Boston cream pie, and
Absolutely.
Malcolm X presumably could have cleaned up.
Yes.
I happen to have a plate.
And I happen to have your Boston cream pie.
Okay. The proof is in the pudding.
That's good.
Or in this case, the pie.
I have to keep eating it just to make sure it's still good.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'd say about 80% of the people that order dessert order Boston cream pie.
Little cash cow. As the chef and the entire state of Massachusetts will tell you, it's worth every calorie-laden penny. What comes to mind immediately when I say Boston cream pie?
Creamy, silky, smooth, chocolatey. Heaven.
Not to overstate it.
No.
Heaven.
Heaven.
Cranberries are a staple of many Thanksgiving meals. And for some, they're worth a little extra effort.
You want to get the ones that are as red as possible.
As red as possible. So
and not dried up.
This would be a good cranberry.
Yes, that's beautiful.
Provincetown, Massachusetts is covered in natural cranberry bogs.
Oh, look at all these from over here.
And locals like Nancy Mead and Stephen Frappoli know just where to find them.
Everybody enjoys harvesting here, the cranberries, the clams, the beach plums. But this time of the year is the cranberry season, and the Native Americans lived off of them for years. Now's the time to pick them and enjoy them.
Cranberry season only lasts from September to mid-November.
Look at over there, that's gorgeous.
All fall.
And that short season gave a man named Marcus Uran an idea. Around 1912, he made it his mission to give the berries a longer shelf life. He started to can the fruit, creating what would eventually become ocean spray.
How do we make it better than we have to? Here's to you, ocean spray!
Fast forward to 2019, and canned cranberries are almost synonymous with Thanksgiving, with nearly 80% of Americans saying they plan to serve them this week.
Does it make a difference cooking with fresh cranberries?
Then frozen ones, yes.
Local chef Stephen Frappoli won't be among them.
And plus we pick them ourselves, so there's something special about it right there.
Makes you appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
He's also thinking beyond sauce.
There's so many other things you can do with cranberries.
Like a cranberry crumble.
2.5 cups of cranberries.
A relatively simple recipe, even for a rookie like me.
2/3 of a cup of water, half tablespoon vanilla extract, 2/3 of a cup of dried cranberries.
After boiling all of that for 30 minutes, he sprinkles it with a crumble made from oats, sugar, flour, and butter.
Middle rack, 350 degrees, 30 minutes.
It tastes like Thanksgiving.
Basically, Thanksgiving in a bowl.
This innocent-looking pie is a pawn in a pie fight that's pitting North against South, and that's piqued the interest of Nancy Giles.
Key West. Known for picturesque sunsets, roaming roosters, and, of course, key lime pie. The signs are everywhere. But wait, is key lime pie really from Key West?
Key lime pie.
Yeah.
So, where does key lime pie originate?
Well, that's an extremely good question.
Pastry chef Stella Parks's book, Brave Tart, offers this slice of pie history. The earliest recipe she could find, which dates back to the year 1931, wasn't from Florida at all.
It comes from a recipe published by Borden Dairy.
Located in New York City.
And it was for a magic lemon pie. And by all accounts, it's a key lime pie. It's a graham cracker crust. It's a no-cook custard that involves a can of condensed milk, some lemon juice, and some egg yolks, poured into this crust and topped with a little bit of whipped cream. That's a key lime pie.
Needless to say, in Key West,
No way. Why?
all this has caused pie pandemonium.
What do they know about key limes?
There were just so many things that were wrong, and that I knew were wrong.
And no small amount of pushback. Cookbook author and co-founder of the Key Lime Festival, David Sloan, put out a call to action.
You felt this real need to defend the pie's origins.
Without doubt. You know, it's a big part of our culture. You know, let New York have the pizza, give us the key lime pie.
Sloan says long before that New York recipe, Key West fishermen made the very first key lime pies on their boats. But things really took off, says Sloan, when a woman, cryptically named Aunt Sally, at Key West's Curry Mansion, brought the fisherman's recipe ashore.
I think that's when they introduced the meringue, because that makes it a little fancier and more high society.
Right.
And that's when they started doing the different crusts.
But Stella Parks hasn't seen the proof she needs, yet.
I think it's important to say that there could be, in some box, some grandma has stored away her copy of this recipe from way earlier, and it hasn't been discovered yet. So this is all under the caveat of this is all I have been able to find.
And just for the record, you're not a New Yorker. You're not trying to claim key lime
I'm
pie.
not a New Yorker. I'm a Southern girl. So.
Okay.
Things were getting a little tart. So I knew what I had to do. Try both pies.
Kind of start out by just lightly scattering the crumbs.
Stella Parks made her recipe.
All that butter's going in there.
Yeah,
Whoa.
I like the butter.
David Sloan enlisted Sheila Sands Devendorf, a fifth-generation local who followed a recipe passed down from her mother.
That is so good.
And the winner is? I can't choose. It's a pie tie.
Let me ask you, for the sake of peace, for the sake of key lime harmony, would you share a slice of key lime pie with David Sloan?
Oh yeah, instantly, no problem.
Yeah.
Very easy. I'm here for pie.
Yeah.
It's pie. It should make people happy, and that's the way I really feel about it. I mean, it's pie.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah Kugel. I'm a producer with CBS Sunday Morning, and we're here today with Andy Baragani, senior editor of Bon Appetit, who is here to show us some Thanksgiving recipes. I've been promised that these recipes are all very simple. Is that true?
Yes, these recipes are not supposed to add more stress during the holiday. It's supposed to make your life a little bit more calmer and seamless, I promise. And this one is broccolini with sesame sauce. I think usually there's so many dishes on at least my Thanksgiving table that are heavy and rich, especially carb heavy, and so you want something green. And so I went with just broccolini, kind of leave the stems really long and elegant. They just get blanched in salted water for about 2 minutes, just until they're tender. You still want some crunch, but what makes this dish really special is the sauce that I'm going to show you. And just drizzle this all over. And also what's great about this is that it's good warm, but it's also good at room temperature. It's good cold.
Yeah, and it kind of takes that pressure off when we're scrambling to get everything warm to serve.
You have to kind of strategize and make sure you have all right, there's certain hot dishes, certain cold dishes, and some room temp, and this one is very forgiving. And then you have this almost green mosaic-like side dish.
So next up is going to be a sweet potato recipe. Is that right?
Yes.
Sweet potatoes, a Thanksgiving classic, and you're going to give it your own spin.
I roast them at a high heat, 400 degrees, until they're fully tender and they start to ooze their natural sugars out. And then I let them cool for a bit, and then I just flatten them. You'll see this. Flatten them until they kind of collapse and they tear a little bit, and then drizzle them with a little bit of oil, and then roast them again one more time. And then I pair them with a spicy yogurt sauce. This is just Greek yogurt. I'm gonna season with some salt, I always go for the full fat. Don't go for the non-fat. Don't go for even the 2% unless you must. This is the holidays, you want to go for the full fat. And then I take, this is a jalapeno. I like to just use a microplane and just grate that in there. Greek yogurt has a nice tang to it, but you almost want additional acidity. So I add a little bit of fresh lemon juice. And I feel like so many of the dishes you have for the holidays, again, they are heavy and rich. So the thing that's usually missing on the table is acid. So you get that here with the lemon juice and the yogurt. So over here, I'm just gonna do, as what food scientists would say, is a swoosh. And with the sweet potatoes, each sweet potato has a little bit of yogurt underneath. And then I'll take some mint, and I just give it a little bit of a tear. Not too many ingredients, but you definitely, every component is really important.
Beautiful. It's such a sophisticated looking dish, but you make it seem like it's really simple.
That's
so when I
always
try
good.
this and I fail on Thursday,
That's
I'm
always
calling
the
you Auntie.
Call me. I'll have a hotline going, it's fine.
We all could use something sweet, and Martha Stewart has just the recipe.
Well, it is autumn. Last day of summer has passed, but the garden doesn't stop giving. I love preserving, and I am now in the process of making jams and jellies from all the fruits that I have harvested all summer long. All of these jams and jellies I made yesterday. A lot of these will be gifts for my friends, and they will love them. The difference between a jam and a jelly, well, jam has all the full fruit in it, and jelly is the juice of the fruit strained. Now I want to show you how to make a really delicious blueberry. So 4.5 pounds of beautiful blueberries, and then measure out the sugar. It seems like so much sugar, but you know, what are you using on your croissant? A tablespoon or 2 of your homemade jam, and don't forget the lemon juice. So this one goes onto the stove, and you cook it until all the sugar is dissolved. Now, all the sugar is melted. You put this fruit and syrup, because the blueberries have really cooked down, into a glass bowl, and you cover with a piece of parchment paper and refrigerate overnight. It can stay in the refrigerator for 2-3 days before you bring it back to a boil. Oh, look how beautiful that is. So to fill our jars, you must have a funnel like this. And then you just scoop into the jar. Oh, and I didn't mention the square ladle. This is the ingenious ladle. And you want to make sure that you don't drip on white marble counters. This berry juice is pretty indelible, so be careful. And put these on each top. See, I put the ring on, hold down with my finger, and screw on there. Pop down and seal. It's a sort of a self-sealing method. So no more paraffin wax on top. Remember, Mom used to use paraffin wax? And all of this jam and jelly making really just brings me to how I came up with the flavors for my new product line of wellness CBD products. Really, this blueberry jam, which we just made, and see, that's a nice gel. Tastes just like the huckleberry pâte de fruits gummies. We all need to be calm these days, don't we? Let's see how they taste with the homemade jam on it. And this, to me, is Sunday morning. Reminds me of Paris. Absolutely perfect.
Martha Stewart has just released her 99th book, and in it, a recipe for an apple tart that takes the cake.
Hi everyone, welcome to my farm in Katona, New York. It is apple picking season, and I'm standing right in a part of my fruit orchard. When I planted this orchard about 18 years ago, I decided I would do this portion for the kids because espalier trees are trained to grow only a certain height and to be very productive for their size. These trees are loaded with fruit. The apples are not all exactly perfect, but it doesn't matter. If you're going to use these for cider, they get washed and they get crushed and they get pressed. This tree probably is close to 100 years old. The fruits are big. Look how big they are. So utterly delicious. Look how juicy. Perfect for apple pie. And if you're going to make a pie, mix up the apples. Don't use only one kind of apple in a pie. They're all amazing. Well, I think I have enough apples for a pink applesauce tart. I'll show you how. You start with a blind baked crust. Now, if you wonder what is a blind baked crust, it is a crust that is baked in a quiche pan. This is the finished tart. This is the objective of our efforts. So pink applesauce is the base. It's not very hard. Don't peel your apples and choose red-skinned apples. And we have 2 pounds of apples here and about 1.5 cups of water, the juice of 2 lemons. I made this by mistake when I was trying to figure out how to make pink applesauce. It's great if you have one of these reamers, by the way. This is a great tool. And cook until the apples are very tender. And here is the applesauce, the resulting applesauce. Put this right into a saucepan, 1/4 cup of sugar, and just a pinch of salt. And the recipe calls for 1 tablespoon of Calvados. How about 2? And then to prepare the apples, use this very good apple corer. Use a little mandolin. Be careful when you're using one of these, but if you want those gorgeous thin apple slices, that's how you get them. And now pour this right into the tart shell. Now, just lay down your very thinly sliced apples in concentric circle on top of the applesauce. And just pop that right into your oven. And to embellish that just a little bit further, heat approximately 1 tablespoon or 2 of red raspberry jelly with a little bit more apple brandy. Use a soft pastry brush and just lightly touch the apples. But look how gorgeous this tart looks. So if you're having a great apple harvest in your area, take the family to one of those pick your own. It's a lot of fun, and what you bring home can be turned into delicious desserts, cakes, even cider. Have fun.
At Pies and Thighs, Sarah Sané's award-winning apple pie
You get, what, an orchard's worth of apples?
That's right.
starts with Granny Smith apples.
We are going to add some lemon juice.
Is that cinnamon?
This is cinnamon.
Plus nutmeg, as well as both granulated and brown sugar.
I like a pretty aggressive sprinkle of salt.
Aggressive
I like an aggressive sprinkle.
Add a little flour and mix.
So you can see it's like the butter is smushing with the flour. It's making this nice, like, heavy sauce on it. You just want to make sure that everything is like evenly-ish distributed.
Pour the mixture into a cooled pie shell and cover with the top crust.
What's the secret to making a delicious crust?
Keeping the fat cold and minimizing the liquid, I would say, are the 2 big ones.
Then crimp the edges.
See, I'm squeezing, and then I'm replacing the crimp with that thumb again. Replace, replace, and turn your pie as you go. So crimp, crimp, crimp. Okay, there, crimped.
Yeah, mine looks quite different from yours,
Well,
I've noticed.
Okay, you might need a longer lesson. We'll take this one home.
If the apple pie is like the most patriotic dessert,
Yeah.
is this unpatriotic
Blasphemy.
what I've done?
Get kicked out.
Done right, the pies look like this.
Should we cut one open?
Let's cut one open.
At Pies and Thighs, each pie is cut into 7 slices.
You know, there's like a size that we all imagine, and if it's less than that, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
As it were.
And she uses scissors to do it.
Once the scissors have cut the top bit, you use your knife to go all the way down through the bottom bit.
Exactly. And oh, see how it's shattering? This is exactly what we want. It's great. I am just as excited right now as I have ever been. It's like just as delicious, and I'm so excited to eat it.
This is meant to be eaten with a utensil.
It is. And I think a scoop.
A scoop, a la mode.
A la mode.
The magical word that means give me ice cream.
Platonic ideal, that's what we want.
The coldness of the ice cream, nice warm apple pie, flakiness, a little bit of chew in the crust as well, and some texture.
Yeah.
On the apple.
And if you don't feel like baking yourself, Pies and Thighs ships nationwide.
You've been baking apple pies for 15 years.
Just as delightful. It's so good.
You really did something here. You should open a restaurant.
We are going to make a butternut squash puree. It's very easy procedure. It's like 4 ingredients basically. We start with a good olive oil to the pan. We're gonna warm it up a little bit. 1 cup of shallots into like a little bit of olive oil. 3 cups of butternut squash that we clean from the skin and we make into cubes. You can buy already like this in any supermarket. We add some salt. We deglaze with some white wine. When the wine is reduced, we're gonna add the cream and we're gonna cook through 15 to 20 minutes. Add 1 cup of cream to make sure that we have enough liquid, and it's gonna be reduced later on. When the butternut squash becomes soft like this and it's fall apart, we're gonna go into the blender and we're gonna mix and blend into very smooth puree. For aroma, we can add also a little bit, and color, we can add a little bit of saffron as well. This is our butternut squash puree that basically we can use as like a soup. If you can put a little bit more liquid, it can be a dairy-free, adding some coconut milk or some almond milk as well. And in the same time, we can use as a base for pasta or any kind of cereal. Imagine you can do with the lentils or other kind of vegetable. This is very, you can use in a multiple recipes as you like and as you prefer. It's very healthy and very seasonal for your holiday as well. So enjoy.
Hello everyone, this is John Stewart. I'm the culinary director here at the 1230 Club in Nashville, down on Upper Broadway. We're a multi-faceted food and entertainment venue. We have a honky tonk located on our street level, a private membership club in our mezzanine area, as well as a classic American supper club on our second floor. We have a delicious loaded baked potato bread here, which is a bread dough that we mix in with some baked potato as well as some cheddar cheese and bacon. It's then served on the side with a beautiful tempered butter with more cheddar cheese, bacon, and finished with fresh chives, served warm. Start with Harvest King flour, about 500 grams. Add it into your mixer. We're going to be sure we start this on a little bit low so we don't make a big mess. I'm going to put in 40 grams of granulated sugar. These are all going to be our dry ingredients first. Right after that, we're doing some instant yeast. Get that right in there. We'll start this very slowly just to incorporate the dry ingredients. You have that, just check your bowl. Make sure nothing's stuck on the bottom. We're going to add 200 grams of whole milk. We're going to add 8 grams of honey. $40 grams of riced baked potato. And a whole egg. We're going to mix this for about 4 minutes until everything is very well incorporated. So we have our initial dough mixed. We're then going to add whole butter, about 50 grams, kosher salt. Mix for about 4 minutes to reincorporate. We're going to add chopped cooked bacon. We use Tillamook cheddar cheese that we shred. Fresh cut chives. About 50 grams worth. We're gonna mix this now for about another 4 minutes. Once our dough has been mixed, we're gonna transfer it into a bowl with just a little bit of olive oil, just so it stays non-stick. A little bit of plastic wrap over the top. And you're gonna set it aside, kind of room temp, for about an hour and a half while you work on some other projects. So we have our dough nicely proofed. Now we're going to begin to portion out into the size of the dough balls we want. So we want to do about 50-gram balls. We suggest measuring them all out ahead of time. That way you can kind of keep a nice consistent flow going. So for our next step, we're going to proof them a second time. Once we have the portions, depending on how many you make, you're going to get them onto a sheet pan. You need to try to find a relatively warm spot in your kitchen, behind the oven, above the oven, somewhere where it's a little bit moist, to help them develop size and shape. And then you need to proof these for around an hour. For our next step, once the bread is proofed, it's very light, it's almost doubled in size. We're going to finish it with some egg wash, some cheddar cheese, right before we go back into the oven. Want to get a nice amount of cheese over the top. Don't be afraid if some falls off. It burns onto the pan. It's super nice and crispy, and it's some of the best parts of this bread. All right, once you've achieved this process, we're going to get the bread into the oven, probably around 325 to 345, depending on your oven temp. You're going to do 4 minutes, rotate, and then finish with another 4 minutes on the other side for even brownness. So after around 8 minutes, your bread's going to come out of the oven. You have your beautiful color. You see your nice crispy cheese. You want to let it maybe rest for 1 or 2 minutes just to firm up as well, so it's not too hot. We're then going to serve this bread with a sour cream butter, more cheddar cheese, more nice crumbled bacon, nice amount of fresh chives over the top, and that's the 1230's loaded baked potato bread. This bread is served warm and is a delicious start to the holiday meal coming out, as well as be great for leftovers with turkey inside.